Hi there everybody, and welcome to the Two-Way Spreads Technical Analysis showcast, if you like, for the week commencing the 31st of October, so happy Halloween for everybody here. This is all sponsored by Trend Signal, so the charts we're showing you here are the Trend Signal charts. More information to follow at the end of the session about that. But okay, so what we're going to talk about is just the main sort of 6 or 7 markets we talk about every week. So we're going to start off with some currency markets and what's going on there. So what we're looking at here is the daily charts for the Aussie dollar against the US dollar. We had a big bull run on this market really since the very beginning of October. We've been talking about that in previous sessions, and now what we've actually done now is hit a major resistance point. Like a lot of the charts actually I'm going to show you, they're all going to look pretty similar. Most of our charts are actually on the daily charts are really on the very top of the price envelope. So the price envelope is the channel within which price action is contained. You see the red line here and the green line here. This contains approximately 95% of price action. So that's the on the trend signal price envelope there. It's really useful when trying to work out what those ranges are likely to be on those markets there. Very, very powerful levels, and really we're right on the extremes on those levels on most of the markets we're going to be looking at in a second, with perhaps the exception of gold really. But we're right at the top here, and we're finding resistance on that Aussie dollar here. So long traders really should have been taking profits as we touch that red line there. If I compress the chart up a little bit more, you can see another red line there, that combination of levels here up at 107.11. I've talked about the number a lot recently, just touching that and just finding a bit of a pullback today. Obviously that Japanese intervention having quite a big impact on the financial markets today. So we're touching right at the top where I've had a significant pullback from this morning and really from Thursday's highs. If I look now to sterling US dollar, again a similar sort of principle really, not quite the same sort of venom in that rally as with the Aussie dollar, but with sterling dollar you can see the market moving up and again finding resistance on the top of the price envelope there. It's the way markets tend to react. They tend to find resistance on those price envelope points there. So hitting resistance, next resistance up around this level here, this sort of 161.74 area here. So this is the next sort of area of potential resistance for me. And then of course in terms of support, we can see our support lines really down to where this step stop here is as well. So there's a little bit of support down in this area potentially, but it's interesting to see what happens. We could be seeing quite a big change in market direction on a lot of the markets there from today. Big pullbacks across the majority of markets there. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the euro against the US dollar. Very similar principle. You know, we've got hitting the major resistance there on the top of the price envelope. As I just compress the chart, you see this green line here, this dotted green resistance line here, hitting that and just stopping it as well. A lot of these markets just look exactly the same right now, finding the same sort of things happening. A lot of those resistance hitting top of the price envelopes and the market starting to pull back. If this euro is going to rally, the next target zone is right back up to this sort of area here. Maybe if I compress just around here, 144.40 is the next major area. So if we do have a significant rally on the euro dollar, that's where we're going to look for in terms of that major objective. In terms of support, let's just have a quick look at the 4-hour chart. I like to look at the 4-hour chart from time to time, and really we're looking around this sort of area here, this 139.33 area where that red number was. So what was resistance is now potentially going to act as support. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over this week, see if this does act as a support point. That's a sort of pattern that happens time and time again when we're looking at the market. So looking at this little break up here, market breaks up, pulls back to the previous resistance point like here, hits it, stops. So the same pattern would suggest a pullback to here and then a rally. It's a bit early in the day, quite a few chess moves ahead we're thinking about there, but you know, certainly an interesting few levels there. So that 139.33 area on euro could prove pivotal there. See if we get a bit of a resumption of that uptrend, possibly. Just go back to the daily chart, and then we want to look now at for crude oil. Profits taken on crude oil recently, as we talked about in previous sessions. You know, we had this major resistance point here So, managed to notch our profits there at 89.41, looking at that red line here, plotted from the beginning of September. So nice profits here, having gone long down at the bottom here, this sort of $82, $83 zone. Now $10 higher. If you're not already out, you really should be. Well, most people are already out, having tested the top of this price envelope anyway. Let's think about support and resistance. So next area of resistance, if I just compress the chart up, we can see previous resistance zones. We're really looking up to this 96.20 area here, this green line here, giving us our next area of potential resistance there for crude oil futures. As I look up to for support, I'm just going to go back to the 4-hour chart here. And in terms of support, we're looking at the 88.63, so this level here is our potential next resistance area here. So this next level around there. So we're looking back maybe about $4 this market could pull back in terms of finding that next level of potential support there on crude oil. Just have a quick look at gold now. Gold's an interesting one. I mean, a lot of those markets have been really testing and sort of trying to get outside of that price envelope, that natural price range on those trend signal charts. But with gold, we haven't quite gone all the way up there. We've had a big pullback today after that intervention there. So resistance at 1763 up at the top of this price envelope here, this area here. And then we've also got support, just looking at the 4-hour chart. In this 1690 zone here. The interesting thing is, the trend is still up, I believe. Still looking at the daily charts, it's still pointing up, but a very big move up on the 4-hour chart there on gold. And it's the first time we've really started to move down. So, potentially a bit of a change in fortune in gold. It's a little bit too early to say, but when I look at that daily chart, it still looks pretty reasonable. The indicator's still green, still suggesting this market may have a little bit further to go. Particularly with risk on, people start getting a bit concerned when there's risk and people start flooding into gold. So for me, that trend on the daily chart still seems to be quite positive there. The indicator's certainly still green enough to make me think so. Looking though to the indices now, just very quickly. FTSE, bit of a pullback today. Didn't quite make up our resistance points there before pulling back today. Hit 56.80, so it's hit the top of the price envelope. It's hit this level here from the lows of June, but really we'd be looking for the market to get up to this sort of 58.42 area, 58.43 in terms of the next area of potential resistance there on the FTSE zone. So if we do look to break north from here, it's that 58.42 area that we're going to really be looking for there. And then in terms of support, let's just go back and have a look at that 4-hour chart again, just to help break down a little bit and drill down into those numbers a little bit. Around here, 55.05 on that 4-hour chart there. So the market finding a little bit of support off there before, back in last week, trying to break through that 55.05 area and then bouncing off it quite violently as the week went on. We now may see a little bit of a retest as this week goes on. We're still 150 points away from it, so it's a bit early to see whether we'll get there yet, but the warning signs are certainly there as these indicators turning from green to red, that we may start to get a little bit of a test of those areas. Just finally, you can look at the S&Ps. Move back to the daily charts. This is the S&P future. Nice long trade, like all of these markets really nice long trades from the bottom of the price envelope right up to the top. So a lot of our users have been long these markets. So really it's very much a question of just taking profits at the moment. And again, the S&Ps is really no different. Resistance, up towards the top here, this red line giving you a decent area to look to take profits. Otherwise, we're really looking up to 1303 on the S&P futures there. Quite a long way to go in terms of that next potential area of resistance there. It's still looking pretty healthy though. We haven't had a big enough pullback to get too concerned about it yet. The indicator's still green, the vector average green, this line here is still green, so it still looks very, very positive. But so in terms of the next area of support, I'm just going to move to the 4-hour chart again and just have a look for this zone here, this 1249 area there, 1248.5. That's the next sort of area we're looking for in terms of support, and we can see why we use those areas. Once again, price breaking out, pulling back to that red line, testing it, and then finding support. This is the same thing. If that pattern repeats itself, it'll test it down to this 1248.5, 1249 area, with a potential bounce from there. So it's the sort of pattern we're looking to potentially repeat itself there on the S&Ps. So, in summary, a lot of these markets are really on the extremes of their price channels or their natural trading ranges. So a lot of them pulling back today. Yes, we've had the intervention, but it's kind of to be expected anyway, because we've had such strong moves that really, a bit of profit taking is very much to be expected. So very much a question of looking to take profits, I think, if you're in those long trades as we move to the extremes of those natural trading ranges there. And hopefully we may get some more trading opportunities as the week goes on off those daily charts. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. It's been a pleasure talking to you again this week. So this is the 31st of October. We'll be back with you again next Monday. So thanks very much for coming, and have a good week's trading. Goodbye.